Yeah. I
Chalk
did
it up
it.
as a win.
You did do it. He wins. He defeated us. Red Dwarf is something that I don't think I like as much as most people do.
Red Dwarf is a pretty funny British sitcom, unless you're a smeghead.
Red Dwarf is a British fever dream that I'm not entirely sure was real after I watched it.
Nice. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast, the podcast in which we watch the first episode so you don't have to. We also then review whatever we just watched, and we talk about it. We have some fun. Here is, as always, Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, comedian, musician, writer.
Hi.
And also meteorologist Katie. Today, one and only meteorologist Katie is the way she says in her contract we're supposed to say it. How are you?
I'm doing great. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to do this with you guys.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I forgot the one and only part this time.
Oh,
We'll edit it. So, today we are reviewing Red Dwarf, Episode 1, The End, which already started confusing me. It was very upsetting. February 15th, 1988 is when it first aired, which I thought was a fun thing to check out. Well, this is how we start the show. We start off by talking about what we expected versus what we got.
That's not how we start.
How do we start?
I've got a synopsis for you, obviously.
This is how we start the show.
Did you forget
Michael,
everything since the last time we recorded
I
this?
feel like I don't remember anything today. It's too hot. By the way, it's really hot, but we'll get on that later with meteorologist
I'll see what I can
Katie.
do about it.
Thank you. Michael, what's this show about, by the way?
That's a great... I'm glad that you asked me that question. Let me tell you. In this science fiction sitcom, Dave Lister, a chicken soup machine repairman, so that's already funny, is the sole survivor of a radiation leak on his mining spaceship and the last known human alive. Having come out of suspended animation 3 million years into the future, Lister has very limited company in deep space in the form of a hologram, his dead shipmate Rimmer. They are joined by the vain cat, who has evolved from the descendants of Lister's pregnant cat, old and senile ship computer Holly, and robot Crichton. Well, we didn't meet Crichton in this episode, which was a shame, but he was one of my favorite characters from this show when I watched it before.
Yeah.
In this episode, a radiation leak wipes out the crew of the mining ship Red Dwarf, leaving only one survivor, chicken soup machine repairman Dave Lister. After 3 million years of suspended animation, Lister emerges to find he is the last human being in the universe. But he's not alone.
You know, it would have been helpful to read that ahead of time. I didn't read any of the synopsis. I just kind of went in blind. Sorry, what were you going to say, Katie?
Oh, no, same. I looked up, I typed in Red Dwarf. I saw a couple of images, like what you guys are using for your background. I was like, oh, this looks kind of like Star Trek. This should be a really cool action-packed show. I got a few minutes in and I'm just like, what?
Okay.
I didn't even realize it was British.
Let's start with the second thing we get into, which is what we were expecting and what we got, because it sounds like we're already talking about that. So first things first, Michael, what did you expect before you watched this?
Before I watched it, so I'll preface this by saying that I watched this show when it was on the air. Not like on BBC, obviously, but they would replay it on PBS sometimes. And I remember catching it when I was younger, and I loved the show. And then I started rewatching it in my early 30s, I think, with my ex-wife, and we were marathoning it, and then it got removed from Netflix. And I'll tell you, it does get better. But one thing that I was expecting to see Crichton, my favorite character, but he wasn't in this first episode, so I forgot about that.
When you said watching it with your ex-wife, I'm like, she would have loved it. I bet she loved it. See, I could hear her laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you would love it. You love the British humor. Humor.
Yeah.
Katie, before you watched it, what did you expect, if anything?
Well, when I heard the name Red Dwarf, I was like, oh, this could be like one of those cool, like maybe Battlestar Galactica or Stargate or something kind of similar. And so I instantly had this like image in my head of really cool science fiction, lasers, maybe a little older because I hadn't heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I just saw the poster. I was like, okay, this is cool. It's space. It has a look that vibes with Star Trek, but kind of on the edgier side. This should be cool. And I thought it was American, which was I don't know why. I just instantly, Star Trek, Star Wars, probably American, right? No. So, and then probably within a few moments of me realizing it was British, I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be like Doctor Who. Also, no.
So we'll get to what you got next. I'll tell you what I expected. I expected a British sci-fi comedy because I had heard of it, and I definitely feel like I know for sure that I'd seen some kind of rerun somewhere before. I think I remember whose house I was at when I watched it back when I was a kid, and I remember just like, ugh, kind of like when I saw Faulty Towers. I was like, why do you like this? And
that tells you everything you need to know right there. He doesn't like Faulty Towers.
Yeah, why
he doesn't like British humor?
Why do you think I'm gonna like this? So what I expected was that I expected something that I probably was not going to like, but I remembered that there was like a cat. There was a guy with the teeth. I remembered him specifically. And I remember like a robot-looking guy that I guess is the Crichton guy that never showed up. So there were a couple characters that I remember that I was expecting. But what did you get, Michael? You expected something that you'd love.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Well, I mean, I knew that obviously the first episode of anything, especially back in the 80s, you need to give it a little bit of leeway. But in this episode, they're just setting stuff up. I mean, they're pretty much setting up the premise of the show that's to come, telling us how Lister got on this spaceship all by himself with a cat, a hologram, and a robot. Well, I guess the robot's maybe the next episode when they introduce him. But they're just setting it up and like showing us what circumstances transpired in order to put him into this situation. So that's what I got.
All right. Katie, you expected pretty much nothing that was correct about it. What did you get? But what did you get?
I got about 30 minutes of wondering if they put acid on my pizza. I just kind of was looking at it with this dumbfounded look on my face, my mouth kind of agape, just like, what? I did get a very interesting look at 1980s television. And
British television.
British television.
On behalf of 1980s television, watch your mouth.
Yeah. I've never experienced a TV show like that. Like, I've only experienced a few British TV shows, and none of them were British sci-fi other than Doctor Who, and that was very different. So I got a very cool glimpse into British sci-fi from the 80s.
Yeah, and when you said it was like 80s television, I felt kind of offended. I'm like, but then I'm like, if we watch anything nowadays with today's lens and we're watching 1988, it probably all looks bad. More on that in our next podcast, by the way. Yeesh. So
we're only talking about Red Dwarf right now.
I didn't even mention that it could be anything except for Smurfs. We all know Smurfs is going to be awesome. So WTF Smurfs. By the way, guys, if you want us to watch and review the first episode of a show, say WTF Smurfs or WTF Smurfs or WTF Smurfs if you want us to watch Smurfs
or He-Man.
Yeah, WTF is watch the first. So watch the first He-Man.
You go ahead and leave us a thumbs up, a like, and then go ahead and write us a comment like Ryan said. If you haven't subscribed already, just go ahead and click that subscribe button. And as Ryan says, uppercut that bell icon for notifications.
So I'll tell you what I got. I got something that was actually less enjoyable than I expected it to be.
Wow.
and I expected it to be unenjoyable. But with a caveat of it absolutely got better towards the end, because I didn't know anything about it. I was like, oh, weird. Who are the main characters here? I guess it's just these two guys in a rambunctious group of idiots or whatever. And at the very end, you get the story. You're like, oh, I get it. Oh, that's interesting. And I just thought, I wish they had started with that, because
they did. This is the first episode, and they started with that.
The first 20 minutes. Okay, here, let me give you my impression of the first 5 seconds. Okay, I hit play and I play. Like within, it's like action. They walk in and the guy like scratches his head, and I hear the audience go, ha 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 ha. Like, what the? Nothing even funny happened yet, and they're already trying to convince us. So I immediately, in the first 5 seconds, was like, oh dear God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I actually wrote this in my notes. I'm going to die. This is gonna kill me.
Oh my God.
Anyway. So that's what I got. But Mike, you've got an uphill climb. I think you're fighting against two people on this one.
Well, I think first of all, you're being a little melodramatic.
A little bit.
And second of all, stop being such a smeghead.
Oh, so the way that they refer to each other in this show, I'm just sitting here like, wait, what did they say? I had to turn on captions. At one point, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, smeghead is they say Lister loves the word smeg, and in fact, I remember when I was younger and watching this on PBS. PBS was like, "Oh, order now, smeg ups and smeg outs." It was like bloopers and outtakes of from Red Dwarf, and I ordered it, and we watched. My brother and I loved it. We watched it over and over again. Hi.
I'm raising my hand.
I'm listening.
Okay.
You over there in front of the Red Dwarf.
But what is smeg? Because
have you heard of the term smegma?
Yes, and that's why I'm like,
what I thought.
That's why I'm like, how is this? Maybe it's like those things that we can't say on, since it's going to go on YouTube. But there are certain words that like start with the letter C, or a T. Where if you say it in England, it's totally okay. It's like it's like, ah, you rascal. Whereas if we say it here, people are like, how dare you? And so when I heard smeghead, I'm like, is this another one of those things where they're like, oh, it's just ejaculate. What's the big deal? Grow up, Americans.
No, smegma is not ejaculate. Smegma.
Well, it's like you're right. But it's like the it's like the,
do I need to educate you, Ryan, on what smegma means?
It's like the stuff that's... Go ahead.
Play Cards Against Humanity. You'll find out very quickly.
I mean, you're right, but it's... Go ahead.
Oh, boy.
It's
they don't have it on PBS.
It's not ejaculate.
No, I know, but it's like the okay, go. If
What
you want
was that? What was that?
Go ahead, if you want to. I don't know if this is
smegma is actually, I think it's something that is not really applicable to most American males, because most American males are circumcised. But smegma is like a kind of a film that collects inside the foreskin of an uncircumcised penis.
When you don't clean your sink and you start to get that slime and grime all around it,
it's none too pleasant.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what that is.
That is. I knew it would be there.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is, it's something, that I didn't think that was acceptable on regular television, especially not in the 80s. But apparently, it's fine.
Especially on PBS. Like, could you imagine watching that and watching, like, Arthur? Like, oh.
Anyway, by the way, Katie, I apologize. I didn't know they'd be using those terms when we booked you for this.
It's fine.
Anyway, so back to the show. Yeah, I was immediately turned off by the humor, and not because, look, hey, I'm not going to get grossed out. It's fine. You guys can be as crass as you want. But I was just like, I'm offended that they think that I'm going to laugh at whatever was happening there. But then I was thinking about you, Michael, which is what I do every time I watch anything ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I could picture you laughing because you love British humor.
Yeah.
Humor. So what was funny about it?
So for me, what I found funny is you have Rimmer, who's uptight. First of all, the name is just,
Yeah.
Rimmer, who's like an uptight, stick up his ass, and he's just. And then you've got the late. It's kind of a comedy of opposites, really, because you've got Rimmer, it's kind of an odd couple. Rimmer, who's the uptight, stick up his ass, and then Lister, who's like, oh, I've been saving my money, so I don't buy things like deodorant and soap and socks. So he's got dreadlocks. He's kind of he's the Oscar.
He's got like a dread mullet.
Yeah.
It's a very strange combination. It took me a while to figure out what is on his head.
Yeah. Katie, was there a moment that made you laugh?
When he was have to really think about this one. When he was taking the test, and he just rubbed his hand across his arm and all the black ink comes off, he's just like smacks it on the paper and turns that in. I've had days like that, so I had to laugh because that is totally relatable. But other than that, I was just kind of sitting there scratching my head like, why are they laughing? What was funny about that?
So in the 80s in Britain, this is very funny stuff. So
really,
you need to be British
really?
and from the 80s to really understand it.
Sounded so skeptical.
I have a couple of cousins who live across the pond. I'm going to have to ask them if they've seen this.
In the 80s, though, also. So
yeah, well, yes.
I'm trying to think if there was a funny moment for me. I thought it was funny that they made a cake out of a cross. I was like, oh, that's funny. That's funnish. I think that's it.
They're all dead, Dave.
Oh, that was funny.
Everyone's dead, Dave.
Actually, that was funny.
What about this person?
No.
He's dead, Dave.
That part got on my nerves. Like, I just wanted to, like, when a record player gets stuck and you kind of have to hit it so that it keeps going? That was my frustration level.
Everyone's dead, Dave. Wait, are you trying to tell me that everyone is dead?
Yeah, no, actually, I found that you're right. I actually found myself repeating a couple of the lines because it was funny the way it was delivered, where he says, he's dead. They're all dead, Dave. They're all dead. But what about, they're dead, Dave. They're all dead. He's dead. They're dead, Dave. I was like, that must have been a funny, like when you put on the script, they're probably like, is this going to be funny? Trust me, this will be funny.
See?
Yeah, no, that was funny. I found that to be amusing. I liked that. But that was very British humor.
All right, 1 of 2, done.
Well, British humor, I think I figured out what British humor is that they say things that are not funny at all, but you realize, oh, I guess they're trying to be funny here. This is the joke. And then that kind of makes you laugh because you're like, well, that's weird that they think that's funny.
Yeah, it's all in the delivery, I've found.
And he's like eating the dust of his dead crewmates, and he's, oh, that's Captain, what's his name? Wait a minute, I've been eating these. Like, why is he just eating it? Like,
yeah.
He sees a bunch of dust and he just like picks it up and starts eating it. Like,
that's true. Why would he do that in the first place?
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's funny.
Well, what I found was slightly amusing there was not that part, because I didn't give it as much thought as it deserved, apparently. But afterwards, when he tells him that, when he's just kind of like flicking it off, like it's an actual dead person. He's just like flicking them off the desk, like, ugh. I don't know. I thought that was funny. Disrespect always makes me laugh.
That's a very 2020 attitude right there.
Okay, well, can we just address the elephant in the room, by the way?
The Red Dwarf in the room?
Yeah. Which, by the way, is like a planetary type, as we all well know, like Jupiter. Oh no, it's a star.
It's a
Sorry, it's a small
yeah,
star.
yeah.
I was thinking of a red giant. Red dwarf is a small star. Okay.
Red giant is also a huge star.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was a kind of planet that's just gaseous.
No, that's a gas giant.
Man, I just need a nap today. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gas giant. I was like, it's a big ball that's made out of gas.
It's a gas giant. I don't know. I just got British in my head now, so.
That's okay. We're supposed to.
It is quality accent.
So this is what I was trying to get at before we got all distracted, was that they said a hologram, and this kind of bugs me with every show that does this. It's a hologram. And they said, look, he can't touch anything, and you can't touch him, and your hands just pass through him, and there's none of that works, right? So how does he sit on a chair?
And how does he stand?
How does he walk? Yeah.
Yes.
And these are the things that upset me, because I'm like, well, look, one or the other, dude. If you can't hold the glass, you can't stand on the floor, and you can't lay on a bed.
Exactly.
That's what bothers you?
Yes,
Yeah.
very much. I couldn't even think straight.
What about the EMH in Voyager? He was a hologram.
Yeah, bothered me too.
Yeah.
You have those same problems with the EMH?
You have surrounding hollow emitters that they explain are on a deck-by-deck basis, which could be both above and below the floor.
Yeah.
There's technobabble that can explain it away. This, they just make you accept it.
Yeah, it's the 80s. Just accept it. It's going to be bad. I mean, just
It's gonna be bad. Just accept it.
I mean, just, yeah, I mean, look at like the sets are not great. The graphics aren't great. I mean, compared to what we have now, but
Actually, I kind of liked the set. I was like, okay,
They're kind of believable.
It looked fun. It looked like a fun place to play or to act or to shoot stuff. I kind of liked the sets. I was okay with it personally.
It wasn't the worst.
I thought Max Headroom was weird when Max Headroom popped up.
Is that Holly?
Yeah, Holly. That was his name,
Yeah.
Holly. I just started calling him Max Headroom, and then at the end, I found out, I was like, oh, I guess his name is Holly. I don't know if that's Holly. Yeah.
Holly.
Anyway, so we got
that was a good one. Solid.
we got a few questions here. Overall, Katie, what do you think of the humor in Red Dwarf?
I mean, 2 laughs in 30 minutes. I'm sure there's an equation to calculate it out, but very, very subdued. Although it was more because I was confused by it. Now that I have like a baseline of what they do, I'm sure I can find it more humorous later on.
Yeah. What were the 2 laughs again?
Oh my gosh. The one was oh my gosh. See, I can't even remember. It's just like fleeting moments of laughter. Oh my gosh.
The test when he puts the handprint.
The test when he does the handprint thing. And then when he spits out the people's dust. He's like, I've been eating that.
Yeah.
But that was more of a like, loser. Like sort of a,
Well, Michael, what were your 1 or 2 laughs? Overall, what did you think of the humor?
I enjoyed it. I like British humor, and I like this show, and I'm not going to apologize for that. It's dumb humor, but I like it, and it's like, to me also, like there's a few points that I laughed. Obviously, I like it, but the one point also that I really liked is he comes out of stasis and then Holly's talking to him. He's like, how long have I been out? 3 million years.
Yeah. What did they explain? Why he was released when he was?
Yeah, because the Holly had to wait for the radiation to dissipate. And I guess that took 3 million years for the radiation to dissipate. So.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I found the humor to be not humor. I mean, the audience was laughing at points where I was like, there's not even a joke happening. There's not even what are we laughing about?
So, I mean, one thing I think that I'm not 100% sure about this. I didn't research this or anything, but maybe Lister, the guy who played Lister, was like, a known comic actor. So when he walks out on stage and does a stupid thing, like that's enough for people to like, oh, he did that in that other show too. That was funny.
Or, ooh, I can't wait what he's going to do. He's going to be funny.
Right.
Some people are just funny when you just look at them and you're like, okay, what's he going to do? That's a good point. Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then also we had a sighting of Arthur Weasley.
Yes. I pointed at the screen. I was like, oh my gosh, it's him. Didn't even know his name. Was just like, the guy.
Yeah,
he was like a Harry Potter guy.
Yeah. He plays Ron Weasley's the Weasley kid's father, and he's the guy who like Lister tells him, "Oh, just put this coin on your head. Do you feel it?" And then he like takes the coin away. He's like hitting himself to show that he's intelligent. So that was funny to me. Also, they're tricking him into doing this stupid thing, and it's like I said, it's dumb humor, but I like it. So.
Which leads me to the second part of this question, because it got me thinking of other things. Not to get too far off topic, but the less we talk about Red Dwarf, the better. What's your favorite British humor? Like whether it's a movie or a show, Michael. What's your all-time favorite production of British humor?
That's easy. Monty Python, obviously.
Oh,
which one?
All of them. Yeah, I mean, the TV series, all the movies, every bit of Monty Python ever, because it's just silly. It's just silly, stupid humor. I was recently watching an interview with John Cleese on like one of the Late Show Colbert or something like that, and he was talking about Python, and he's like, sometimes they would just talk about like, is this silly? All right, let's do it. Like sometimes they were naughty, but most of the time they just wanted to be silly. Is this sketch, like there's a sketch in Monty Python where they're just slapping each other with fish. And that's it. See, yeah, it's funny because it's just silly.
It's funny, and I started laughing, but then I pictured it, and I was like, I feel like it'd be less funny to actually watch it for 10 minutes than it is to hear about it.
Well, they made like a little song, and they're like dancing and hitting each other with fish, and at the end, like he pulls out a big fish and like whops them with it. Yeah.
Katie, what's your favorite British humor of all time, including the 80s?
You know what? It actually came out this year, and it's staged. It's a 6-episode miniseries with Michael Sheen and David Tennant. And it is probably one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my life. It is hilarious. I figured out how to use a VPN in order to watch it. It is hilarious. Everyone I've shown it to, I've done watch parties with like 3 or 4 people, and we have to end up pausing. We're laughing so hard. It's just the funniest humor. Yeah, you have a person from Scotland and a person from Wales who both act in London, and it's hilarious. It's
WTF staged. Come on, guys, type it in the comments.
Oh
WTF staged.
I will spam your comment section with it.
You're not allowed to though, because you're in the program right now, so other people have to.
True.
She can do one.
We just text a couple of friends here, and
I don't know if you saw this, but when you said David Tennant, Michael's ears actually wiggled.
Yeah.
Because he likes him so much.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have bought how much merchandise of just him? Like I have pops that all
number
look
10
the same.
Right there?
That is number 10. Version number whatever, because geekiness. But yes.
We're speaking in code, Ryan, and that code is Doctor Who code.
Yeah. So, great question. I'll tell you what I think is the best humor. So sorry we can't tangent over to Doctor Whom that nobody likes.
WTF, Doctor Who.
Don't you dare.
WTF 1960s Doctor Who.
Oh, no.
Let's torture Ryan with that one.
You could do each of the Doctor's first episodes. Then that way you have 13 he has to watch.
We're going to have like a month of British stuff now. I'll tell you my favorite British humor. Unless I'm missing something, it's definitely Monty Python for me. Specifically, the Quest for the Holy Grail, I think is probably the fun. I mean, that's the one that's the most iconic. They all kind of have one or two scenes that are super famous. Like, what is it? Life of Brian, the one where he's like, I couldn't eat another bite. I don't remember if that's that
No,
one.
that's that's Meaning of Life.
Meaning of Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It had life in
Whereas Monty Python's got like 4 or 5 or 6 things that people always love, like the knight with getting his arms and legs cut off, and the rabbit. Yeah, and the I fart in your general direction that everybody loves.
Oh, good.
Specifically me.
I am an enchanter. They call me Tim.
Or the weight of a swallow.
Yeah.
European swallow?
Katie
That's
knows.
how much. I think that's why people that show is the movie has just lived on for so long. It's so quotable.
Exactly. Totally.
All right, so we've talked enough about Monty Python in this Red Dwarf review.
Okay.
I think that pretty much
Guilty.
tells you what you need to know about Red Dwarf.
Guilty. Okay, how about this question? Speaking of Red Dwarf, are you guys looking forward to the Red Dwarf sequel movie? It's not a reboot, it's a sequel, right? Michael?
Oh. I haven't heard about it. I mean, I think you mentioned something about it, and I think I saw something about it. I didn't know it was a movie.
Yeah, and I believe the entire cast is coming back, and so it's going to be a sequel. Katie, have you heard anything about it? Am I the only one?
I went back after I watched the show. I was like, how many seasons did this go on? And I wrote it down. It was from 1988 to 1999. And then they did a 2009 to 2012. And then they're doing a 2016 to now 2020. So it's had stages. And I saw that one in 2020. I'm just like, what? And so that's about as much as I know about it. But I did see that the cast was coming back, which is pretty cool. I mean, that has to be a pretty good program for the cast.
You can see it's very popular. So there's a lot more to it than just that first episode that we just watched.
Yeah, I looked it up. It says it's called Red Dwarf, The Promised Land, and it is 2020, so it's coming out this year. Is a British science fiction comedy television film and the 13th installment of the British science fiction sitcom Red Dwarf. This movie sees the Red Dwarf crew of Dave Lister, Arnold Rimmer, the Cat, and Crichton face off against Rodon, the leader of a band of feral cats who has pledged to annihilate all those who don't worship him as their god. Sounds like a cat.
Nice.
Hey, Radar's right over there. He can hear you.
That's pretty. So, we'd check it out. So let's talk a little bit more about how this goes, because Michael, you've seen a lot of this, and you say Crichton pops up later, because it did get better for me as soon as I realized, oh, I get it. It's about just these 2 and then 3 and eventually 4 guys. And I looked on IMDb, and there are a lot of people that have 15 or 20 or 40 episodes, which made me curious as to how does this crew of 3, presumably 4, have characters that are in 40 episodes?
I don't really remember, but I think I do remember them having tossles with some people. I remember when I started watching it back in the 80s or 90s when I was younger, and I watched it on PBS. They were in a little green ship. I think they called it like the bug or green bug or something like that, where it was on the Red. Later I saw it was on the Red Dwarf, but they had to abandon the Red Dwarf because it was taken over by a band of rebels or something like that.
Ooh.
Cats.
Yeah, I don't think it was cats back then, but they took off, and they were just living on this little green ship instead of this huge red ship. And then eventually they go back and they take it back from them or something like that. Like I said, I don't really remember. I'm sure the people can tell us in the comments what really happened. But so I think that's how that worked out, is that they had some tossles with people.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that explains it. I was wondering if they're like extra crew people that they picked up along the way and then they kept for a long time.
Yeah.
No, as far as I remember, it was mostly just the group of 4, and they kind of all worked off of each other.
And Holly, right?
And Holly, yeah. And actually later on, Holly changes to a girl computer too. I guess they reprogrammed it or something like that.
Finally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Are there ever any women on the show, or is it just all dudes?
Yeah.
No, I think there are. I mean, obviously, Lister's got to have somebody to skis on, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a total sausage fest. Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Really need to send you a deck of Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, no, I've got plenty. It's a fun game. Yeah, no, again, I thought it got good towards the end. I wish they had led with that. Or maybe if I'd read the summary, I would have been like, okay, this is just a setup. But I certainly, it made more sense. I just didn't know what was going on. I couldn't even pay attention most of the time. But once we find out what actually happened, I mean, what would have been the harm of just starting with episode 1, dude comes out and just picks up from right when he comes out of the chamber, the stasis chamber, and he says, hey, where is everybody? I mean, you could have just started right there.
maybe, but I think that they wanted to introduce Rimmer and like their relationship before all this kind of went down, and they can show that Rimmer was like a real dude before he turned into a hologram. Because as far, when I was a kid and watching it, I always thought, oh, he's a hologram. And then I went back and watched this first episode, and I was like, oh, Holly's a dude? What? Rimmer is actually a guy? Like, so yeah, that's kind of what I think what they wanted to start with, is to show us, oh, look, Rimmer's been a dick this whole time.
Yeah. Katie, did you have a favorite character?
I actually like Rimmer. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm fresh out of college sort of thing, and I know people who are just kind of like, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want. It's fine sort of thing. And I'm just like, I will hurt you sort of a thing. Like, come on, why can't you just do one thing right? And so I kind of related to him, but he totally, he has a stick up his butt. Yeah, but other than that, I did like Frankenstein, the cat, for her little miniature appearance. I just like, kitty. But other than that...
I'm kind of one of those dudes that's like, I'm going to do whatever I want, man. Just kind of see what happens. I felt attacked.
Yeah, you don't wear socks or deodorant or use soap.
See, I don't remember him saying that. I don't remember that line.
Yeah, he was saying because he was talking about how he's saving up to buy a farm in Fiji, which was 3 feet underwater, I guess. In the
I can wade, he says.
And he was talking about how he's been saving up all of his money, and that's why he doesn't buy socks. What's why he doesn't buy soap, deodorant, or socks.
And the other guy said, I am a fish 100 times.
If I had to live with either of them, I feel like I would lose my mind. That's probably why they stuck them together.
Right.
So, and then here I am in the first half doing what I do, which is I fixate on stats and information and numbers. So I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, he said, I'm a fish 100 times. He filed 247 complaints against Lister. There's 169 people on the ship. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Okay, 169 people. So that's kind of like Voyager size. Not bad. Okay, I'm like, none of this matters. None of this is important. Why are you giving me this information? It turns out none of it. By the way, the ship looked awesome. I will say the exterior of the ship, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like possible. Yeah, it was definitely a model with the lighting that I'm seeing, like just in your background picture there. Definitely a model.
Michael,
maybe you can find Christmas ornaments of it.
Did you like the ship?
I did. And my favorite character was Cat. The cat.
Yeah, it confused me so much.
Yeah, like how he has a suit after 3 million years.
And when he just climbed out of the air duct, I was just like...
Speak English?
Yeah, how did he learn how to speak English? Was he speaking to Holly?
How does he look like people?
You guys, he's had 3 million years to evolve. I mean, I think
press his suit.
In 3 million years, they can learn how to tailor a suit. They can learn how to speak English from the files in the computer. Well,
why would he even tailor a suit if he's the only living thing? Or I guess
because he's cool, man. He's the cat. He's cool.
Also, on a ship that's mostly British, how did he end up with an American accent?
How did he never run into the hologram Rimmer guy if they're together for 3 million years?
I think maybe Rimmer wasn't reactivated until
just
Lister woke up.
Oh, that was a funny moment. Actually, that was something that made me laugh. Was when he saw his shadow, not the "what's this shadow" thing, but when he said, "Oh, we're like a team. Come on, team, onward," or whatever he said. I'm like, that's funny. Like he's like, "All right, team, let's go."
That's what that's how a cat thinks.
I don't know. I feel like cats.
Cats get no more than we give them credit for. They're always
okay,
plotting.
team, this way. That's what he said. This way. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
That
See?
was pretty good.
All right, now I'm warming you guys up to it.
Boy, oh boy.
All I have to do is remind you of all this funny stuff that was in it.
I feel like I need to go back and rewatch it so that I'm not as distracted by the but like not as distracted by the initial shock of it all.
Not to jump ahead too much, but what you guys need to do is watch the second.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Don't answer that question. Don't you. Mike's trying to trick us right now. Because that's the last question of the show is, would you watch the second? He's trying to trick us.
Oh.
That's why I said I didn't want to jump ahead, but I have to.
He's trying to jump 3 million years into this podcast future.
Yeah.
Boy, so I'm looking through my notes, trying to find anything else that is funny or worthy of talking. 18 months. Max Headroom pops in. I kept calling him Max Headroom. Everybody's dead, Dave. They're all flour now, is what I said.
See, I thought they were piles of cocaine initially, and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Party ship.
Like the 80s kind of popping through there.
I liked it when Lister said, "I'm going to get a sheep and a cow and breed horses."
That was good. That was pretty good.
All right.
I'll give you that.
I'm winning.
There's still 20 some odd other minutes.
That one. I did like the concept that the ship can only have one hologram.
Right.
That's cool because then that creates a situation to where obviously everybody would like, well, why don't you just make holograms of everybody? And you also know that you can't have a second character come on as a hologram, or that could be an episode where they figure out a way to make a second character as a hologram.
I think that they do if it like later on in the show. But
spoilers. God.
I said I think. I'm not sure. I mean, it's been so long since I watched it. I've been divorced from my ex-wife for quite a while now. It's spoilers.
I was gonna say,
this show.
You think the show's funny too, so clearly you have a history of being wrong. But
let me just.
Just kidding.
All right, I think I'm going.
Fine.
All right,
it's fine.
I'm leaving.
We can all gang up on Ryan when it's Doctor Who time. So,
which will be never.
How dare you?
I know.
You don't know that. What if somebody writes WTF, Ninth Doctor?
I'm sure nobody wants to torture me like that. Nobody wants to.
I think that they do. I think that they would.
I think I do. Going from the person who has like 4 sonic screwdrivers on her desk.
All right.
This is going to be the shot for the rest of the show.
Ryan has no idea what those are, I think. So.
No, I do. I know that's a Doctor Whom thing. That's his like laser beam. It's like a magic screwdriver thing that he drinks, and just like how he has the big lunchbox that he flies in, or phone booth, whatever it is. It's like a phone booth, like Superman, right? He has a phone booth and a sonic screwdriver that's like a weapon, and he has a companion, right? That's usually a woman, but I think recently they had a woman Doctor Whom, and then probably a male companion.
God, no!
What do you mean? I'm pretty close, right?
You killed her.
I'm pretty close. Am I not?
Hurts. Oh my gosh, no.
There are no.
Have you seen Doctor Who?
I don't think he has. No.
No, none of it.
I'm shaking right now. No. Okay, so people who are watching, comment just WTF Doctor Who. Don't care what area it is. You have to watch it.
Yeah, and then they have to say what season it is and how we can watch it. I mean,
yeah.
What do we have to donate to
HBO
BBC
Max?
or something to watch it? I don't know.
Either HBO Max or a VPN, as I've so wonderfully found out.
Sounds torturous. I mean, actually, I do hear really good things about Doctor Who, and you know, a lot of people that like Star Trek also like Doctor Who. So, you know,
I was gonna say you're alienating like 9/10 of our audience right now.
I know, Michael. Do you think I would like it though?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. All right.
I think he would like either the 10th or 11th Doctor.
No, I know Ryan, and
he does know me very well, and he can usually guess what I would like or not like. What seasons, if any, do you think I would have a chance of me liking it?
Maybe the 9th Doctor. I think that's probably the one that you'd probably like the most.
I don't know. The 11th Doctor with the season with the silence was pretty great.
Oh, I love the 11th Doctor. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know.
He's probably one of my favorites. But I'm just saying what Ryan would like, and I'm talking about the first episode because we only watched the first of things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember to watch the first of things.
Forgot the name of the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that case, don't watch the 10th Doctor's first episode.
Okay.
9th Doctor.
Well, we've successfully not spoken about Red Dwarf for a little while. I feel a little better. That was fun. I liked that part. How many doctors are there? How many different doctors?
Well, technically there's 14. But,
okay.
Well, if you include Ruth and the War Doctor, and I mean, Meta-Crisis Doctor technically isn't. He's only half, but still has the brain of the Doctor. So, yeah, it gets wibbly wobbly.
Timey-wimey, I know that too.
Yes.
I know that's a thing.
It's not as dumb as it sounds.
Well, no, I mean, I hear it's actually got, you know, intelligent and intricate writing, and like it's very sci-fi brain-busting stuff. But it seems like it's also silly. Like it seems like it's also a little too lighthearted to where it's just kind of this goofy thing that happens to have really interesting sci-fi concepts and stuff in it.
Red Dwarf, you're right. All right, let's move on.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got me. Okay. Okay. Well, Kate, I wanted to talk more about Red Dwarf, but darn it, Katie, it's time to talk about you. I was just looking at my watch and I realized that it's time to talk about you for a moment.
Yay!
You're not even wearing a watch.
So I will say, by the way, when I said, when I typed in watch Red Dwarf into Amazon, it just gave me like Red Dwarf paraphernalia and like watches and stuff. So I had to actually leave Amazon and in Google put watch Red Dwarf in order to find the link to watch it on Amazon. I'm like, Amazon, you got to get better at this game.
I just typed in Red Dwarf. And it was the first result.
Probably wiser. Good point. Anyway, Katie, meteorologist Katie, you're a meteorologist? Tell us about that. Yes, I
actually am. Basically, I'm a meteorologist. I'm the person you see when you turn on the TV in the morning, and I do the weather. But I also chase tornadoes, which is something that few meteorologists actually do. So it's kind of a double whammy. I get to chase tornadoes on air, and it's my favorite thing. And I'm game for any kind of weather, except for sunny skies. Those are pretty boring. Everything else I get super excited about. But yeah, it's what I've always wanted to do since I was little, and I'm one of the rare people who's known what they want to do in life since a very early age. And I think that's made it a little easier for me.
Did tornadoes do anything to you as a child that made you want to chase them?
Yes. Well, I've been in 2 tornadoes, both in Michigan, oddly enough. And I've lived in South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska area for a year now. So it's weird. But I was under an overpass, which do never park under an overpass if a tornado is coming. That is a horrible sin. Yeah.
Why? What's the story there?
It'll actually act kind of like a wind tunnel, and it'll amplify the wind, and it has a better chance of sucking you out. And the debris also gets funneled in. So you'll be sliced up and thrown for however long you're going to go. So find a ditch was the moral of that story. And I learned all that because I was in that tornado when I was a little kid. It went over the overpass. It was just interesting. But then back in 2011, a tornado hit my house too. And everyone else was like panicking in our neighborhood. And I'm out there walking around like, this is so cool. And I'm pretty sure I was judged pretty harshly for that. But It's just one of those things where either you run away from it or you run towards it. And I'm one of the odd ones that runs towards it.
So most people run away, and then you run into danger.
Like, most people are familiar with Jim Cantori, and I want to be the next Jim Cantori, where you hear the name Katie Nickolaou and you run. That's the goal in life.
I don't know that other guy, but I heard of you.
Hey, there we go. I'm doing good.
So also something that's very interesting and important is that you are trying out for Survivor. Is that right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I just submitted it today, my application. And when I started getting into meteorology was the same year that Survivor started. So it's just kind of one of those things that I feel like was meant to be. So I made about 3 months worth of footage I collected and then made my little 1 or 2 minute audition tape. And I actually finished it this morning. I was like, guys, this is going to work. This is going to work. I'm going to get on. And I'm hoping that I get on, because you know, if any show is going to survive COVID, it's going to be Survivor, where you spend 38 days out on an island. Like,
right.
Yeah. But that's the goal.
This is a television program, Survivor, right? I don't think I've heard of it.
What?
Oh, how have you not heard of it?
This is Michael's British humor coming out. I think this is his British humor.
It's like, how on earth? Yep, been watching it forever, and I just think, they haven't had a tornado chaser on there, and I would bring the perfect amount of chaos. So I might as well.
Survivor. I guess I don't know too much about Survivor. I know a lot about
WTF Survivor.
Yeah, WTF Survivor.
The first episode is actually quite amazing. It's
really?
So, like, you can tell it was made in Y2K, because it's just, oh my gosh, it's hilarious how much the show has changed. But yeah, no, it's basically you send 18 or 20 some odd people out on an island for 38 days. Every couple of days you have this immunity challenge or reward challenge that's physical or mental abilities. And then you go after you lose and vote someone out of your tribe until you eventually get 3 people. And then you have to make people who you have voted out and crossed and just horribly not, like, you haven't gotten along with at all, make them want to vote for you so you can win $1 million.
I get it. I think I have seen it. They like go to this place and there's like a host guy or something that says stuff.
Yep.
When they vote people out, right? There's something like I feel like I did see it way back in the day.
Jim Pabst or something, right?
Probst.
Jeff Probst.
Okay,
oh
see, we combined to almost get it. We almost got it there.
Gosh.
Oh my god!
I
I can't believe you guys are falling for this.
Oh, really? You do
No,
know?
oh.
Okay. I don't know, but Probst sound familiar. I know a little bit about Naked and Afraid because I worked on that a bit, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that one. That one sounds a little scarier.
Yeah, so you're not afraid enough, and then you'd also have to be more naked. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like anytime a camera just pans over too much of my skin, it's just white balances like crazy. I'm transparent. Like it wouldn't work.
So either Survivor or Naked and Afraid, or what are the others?
Oh, you got Greatest Race. Wipeout was always my favorite show. Honestly, I'd just go on any TV show. I don't care. Those are fun.
Also, you belong to a group of nerds. We call them nerds affectionately because we are nerds, called Orville Nation.
Yes.
What's the story with the Orville Nation? A couple of our buddies work on that. PJ Thomas, shout out to him. We love that guy. Don't know if he's still stuck PJ out in Spain somewhere, but
I think he is.
What's your experience with them?
Well, I started out with I make forecasts for Geeky Spots and make fandom forecasts. And so PJ reached out and he's like, hey, we'd love to have you on and talk to you about this. And like a few weeks later, they're like, hey, would you like to come on and be on a panel? And then it was, hey, would you like to co-host a show? And now it's, hey, would you like to be a sister channel to ours? And so it's kind of just, it started in 2020. So that's been the bright spot of my entire year. And I get to go and interview people from other nerdy spots in the fandom. And it's probably been my outlet during COVID. I'm allowed to just have fun and talk to people opposed to what I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to tornadoes.
You see, people judge you when you do that. You'd be surprised.
5 years from now, where do you see meteorologist Katie Nickolaou?
Oh, I see myself probably taking over Jim Cantor's job at the Weather Channel if he retires. Don't want to step on any toes. Or, maybe just one of the higher TV stations chasing tornadoes. Who knows, for Discovery Channel or something, just helping kids not be afraid of the weather and also inspiring more maniacs like me.
All right, Jim Cantor, get out of there. It's time to retire.
I guess he's on the Weather Channel, whoever he is.
Yes, he is on the Weather Channel, and he is a god. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
He and Jeff Probst are just like my idols. So yeah, definitely.
When you said that kids fear the weather, I feel like it's more like old people that fear the weather. They're definitely the ones that talk about it the most, right?
They talk about it the most, but I also think they're the ones who give the least amount of craps about it. Like, you'll find some older people, they'll hear the tornado siren, they'll step outside and be like, this is nothing compared to 63, and just walk off like into a cornfield or something. Like, where did you come from? What? And then you just get the little kids who are just bawling. It's like, it's okay, Timmy. You see, it's going that way, and it's just something. I've kind of made it into a project of mine to go and teach at schools and tell them about the weather and stuff. So that's kind of one of my offshoots that I've been doing.
That totally felt like a Simpsons episode it felt like you're narrating a Simpsons scene.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Katie, because we do wish you all the best of luck in your storm chasing and survivor chasing. We love having you.
Oh, I love being on. You guys are always the best.
Oh, thanks.
So put her contact information in below, whatever she wants. Instagram, I didn't see, but
yeah, all kind. You guys, to get more information on Katie, just check the description box below. There's gonna be all kinds of links and information and stuff like that. Her survivor video.
Oh yes, and if you're a teacher, one of the things that I mentioned I was doing was teaching at schools. I'm doing virtual weather lessons. So if you're a teacher and you want to have me come into a class for a day, that way you don't have to worry about making a lesson plan or something, let me know. I'd love to come in.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Now back to the seriousness, you guys.
Yes. This is something that I like to call the terrible twos.
It took 21 episodes, and Michael has finally admitted the truth.
I invented it. It was all my idea. I am the genius that came up with this, not Ryan.
See, Katie, Mike's favorite joke is that when I say it's time for something that Michael likes to call the terrible twos, he likes to pretend like he doesn't call them the terrible twos. And he goes like, oh boy, why is he calling it that? I know, but now he's finally owning it.
No, I am the one that came up with the stupid name, the terrible twos.
Anyway, so these are the terrible twos that Mike likes to call them that. I just call them.
Yeah, I call it that stupid name. That's what I came up with. Yeah.
Did you make it into a T-shirt?
That'll be the ultimate troll. Fallingtower, the terrible twos. Yeah. Okay, so it's 2 questions, and it's the real hot seat. And it starts off with this one. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, on a scale of 1 to 10, oh geez, you're going to give it a high rating. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this episode of Red Dwarf?
This first episode, I would not give this one a high rating. I would rate it maybe 6.5. Yeah, 6.5. It titillates, but it doesn't really deliver. I think it's more, like I said before, it was just more setting up the premise of what the show is to come.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Katie, there are no wrong answers. Scale
there are. Yeah.
Michael gave it a 6.5. What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going to be nice and give it a 2.
That is very nice.
I think there were
look at Mike
that had some humor to it, and I definitely think there's hope for it. But this episode, on face value, a 2.
I can tell that you're a very harsh critic, so I think that's
I don't think she
probably
is.
I am always
a good rating for someone like that, such a harsh critic like you. So
actually I had to talk myself down. I'm like, okay, let's see. 2.5 would be too generous, Katie. You're being too kind. You got to go back with a 2.
I'm also going to be very generous because it certainly salvaged itself in the last 10 minutes for me. It definitely made it into an actual television program in the last 10 minutes, in my estimation. So I'm going to optimistically give it a 3.5.
wow, that's really good for Ryan, by the way. So
So us combined is still lower than his overall score.
Yeah. I mean, really, at first I was like, this is like, if you could give negatives, I'd be like, this is a very painful watch at the beginning, for me. But I'm a Frenchman, so I'm very snooty when it comes to British stuff.
oh, that's no wonder. Yeah, that's why.
I mean, I'm a Scot, so.
Both of you, yeah.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna get those English people. Let's teach them a lesson. Because everybody knows the best French humor show is. Nobody knows. I don't even know.
Hey, do the French even have humor?
Not
What?
really. Not on purpose. So the other real tough question. This is the big one. Katie, we may know your answer, but we're going to have to wait.
I'm just going to go ahead and answer for all three of you.
No, well, hang on. The answer is, okay, the question is, for the purposes of this podcast, we had to or got to watch Red Dwarf.
We had the honor of, yeah.
Right, absolutely. But now that this podcast is over, of your own volition, would you watch the second episode, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg?
Well, I think that a lot of nerds are going to agree with me that I definitely will watch the second episode. In fact, on Amazon, it said $1.99 to buy the first episode or $4.99 to buy the first season. I said, you know what? I'm just going to buy the first season. So
He's a masochist.
I at least have a first season that I can watch, that I get to have the honor of being blessed with watching.
Or you could get BritBox for 1 month for free. Yeah. I saw that too. And
I saw that as well, but then I didn't want that.
Torturous.
Oh, how did you not want it? You could get all the other British humor shows.
Yeah, but I have too much TV to watch already, so.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We watched the first of so many shows on this show.
It's true, and we don't want them all to be British or any of them.
Yeah.
So, Katie, would you watch the second
As a
episode?
Doctor Who fan, would you watch the second
Don't
episode?
stack the deck.
You know what? I think I'll turn it on. Whether I make it through the episode or not, that's left to be decided.
That's a yes.
We start it.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Katie is willing to watch twos.
I'm a believer in second chances. What can I say?
I like it.
And then immediately dropping it in the garbage if it's
and then now that you know now the show is set up and now you can actually get into the show proper. I think that we meet Crichton in the second episode. Let me just check while Ryan goes ahead and filibusters.
I mean, I know
being British.
The funny thing is that I knew what my answer to this was immediately after watching the show. And shockingly, yes, I would watch the second episode. And now let me just give the reasoning behind it. Is not because it's good, not because it deserves it, not because I want to, not because anything positive in any reason or way, shape, or form, but just out of sheer curiosity that I'm like, well, I feel like we didn't really get the first episode feels like it started 5 minutes before the end of the show. I kind of just want to see like the second episode or the first few minutes of the second episode, kind of similar to what you're saying, Katie, where it's like, I'm curious to watch the second episode. And if after a few minutes it sucks, I'll be like, okay, I get it, moving on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it created some curiosity into me wanting, just wanting to see what's next, where they're going to take it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
did
it.
That was a win.
He did do it. He wins. He defeated us. I'm so embarrassed.
This is such a great day for humanity.
You say that in 2020. You never know what will be right around tomorrow.
Yeah. That's when they have those memes where they're like, there's pandemic in February, we have fires in January. What's August? August is British humor. Ah!
Yeah, oh, the worst by far.
Yeah.
So anyway, how do we usually end? I haven't remembered anything properly, Mike. I was saying that what did I say? A red giant's a planet when I meant a gas giant. I was starting the show. So how do we end it? I don't remember anything.
So first of all, we have to tell people that if you want us to watch a show, if you want us to review your favorite show, write us in the comments. Say, hey, WTF, Red Dwarf more, WTF.
How dare you?
Doctor Who, WTF, Faulty Towers, all those fun, great shows. WTF, Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see? And then go ahead and leave us a like. Click the like button to leave a thumbs up for us. And then what else was it? Subscribe, please, or something if you haven't.
Hit the bell icon. Yeah. Remember, here's the thing, guys. This is the #1 way that you can support independent shows like this. Is just click subscribe, hit the bell icon and for notifications. Whether you watch more or you don't watch more, if you just want to support people you like or you just want to encourage more people to do things like this, that's really the absolute best way to do it, is just click subscribe. It's free. It does nothing to you. And we really appreciate it. So please do that.
And like and comment also.
Yeah, and like and comment and share and give us money. I mean, whatever, just little things. But that's true. Comment for sure definitely helps a ton for the crazy YouTube algorithms. But what do we know? We only have like 700,000 subscribers.
It's wild.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much, Katie, for joining us and for giving us something to laugh about when I just wanted to cry for this whole hour.
Yeah, I feel that.
And Michael, thank you for not gloating too much. Anyway. So, yeah, WTF, and we'll see you next time. We watch the first episode of things so you don't have to. Fallingtower's 20th anniversary, by the way. Can you believe that?
Woo! Yeah. Dang.
I know. Nuts. That's like when you were 0 years old, practically.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Don't forget, Ryan, what was this podcast?
Oh, see? That's what I was asking you.
That's what I'm reminding you now.
Okay. This podcast was painful at first, and then painful, and then kind of fun.
This podcast is dead, Dave. Everybody's dead, Dave.
Very good. I like it. Katie?
This podcast was more fun than watching the show, but now I want to go watch the show because of it.
Wow. A convert. We converted someone.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And now somebody that likes Red Dwarf is going to be like, I hate these guys for talking jive about my show, but I want to watch their other episode.
There you go.
We'll see you next time on Falling Towers Watch the First.